Hi there, Scott Hamilton, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast for your ears. Going to be talking about 12 Monkeys, Season 2, Episode 2. More adjustments to my home system here. I hope it sounds pretty good. This is a great test. And I thought this was going to be difficult to review episode by episode, but it's not. This is a pretty complex show. It's getting that way. It appears that way. So as we wrapped up, and by the way, this is only for people who have watched the first season, maybe watched the second season. We're going to be chock full of spoilers and such. So follow along if you're watching along. Episode starts back in 2016, where we left off in the last episode. We have a standoff. Jennifer holding the virus. Cole and Cassie talking it out, trying not to shoot each other. Eventually, they persuade Jennifer to hand over the virus instead of dropping it into the crowd. They gather up the rest of the viruses, they set fire to them, and they change the future. Little nosebleeds, little room shaking. It affects them in the past, it affects them in the future. Now, here's the weird thing. We have gone along with the assumption the whole time that if Cole changes the past, stops the virus, the future will disappear, change, whatever. There are different scientific theories about time travel. I'm fine with each show figuring out its own way and doing its own mythology. But it's interesting that when they change time by destroying the virus, it doesn't affect the people who are integral to the story. They remember the previous timeline. Now, a lot of modern scientific theories say that, that's a possibility of what would happen if we could time travel. Right now, it's still kind of an impossibility. But given the mythology of the show, there is no explanation made to why these people, time changes around them, as Dr. Jones explains to them. That really wasn't supposed to happen. They weren't supposed to remember the previous time. They also didn't change time enough. The virus gets released 2 years later. The CDC knew about it. They had a warning. It wasn't as bad. Not as many people died, but it still happened. And the future still exists, but some things changed. Like, first of all, we've added a Dr. Eklund. It's a new character, played by, it appears, what's his name from Battlestar Galactica? His name will come to me. But it turns out he's living with Dr. Jones. She has no memory of him. So they kind of dropped that bomb in the middle of this. There's some other things going on. Cassie, instead of taking Cole back to the future, sends Ramsey back to the future. Remember, we had just saved him, but he's injured. So she sends him to the future, and she goes to the future, and they're gonna start questioning Ramsey to see what he knows about the messengers and the witness and all this other stuff that he's supposed to know about. Meanwhile, Cole's in the past. He's stuck with Jennifer, and they go to get a hotel room. Jennifer takes him to the Emerson Hotel, and she seems to know something about it. They rent a room. She tells him it's the wrong number. It has to be a prime number. She keeps mentioning the 607, and eventually a manager comes and finds them and says, you were supposed to have room 607. It's a private residence that was purchased by a man named Cole in 1944. Inside, there's a photo of him. The guy asks, are you his grandson? Because you look an awful lot like him. They find a picture in there of Cole and Cassie in 1944. In the future, they unsuccessfully interrogate Ramsey about the messengers and such. They even bring his son in to use against him. They kind of cut away from that. While all this is going on with Ramsey, the older Jennifer has the daughters force Jones to retrieve Cole from 2016 that she feels repaying him from helping her younger self. Then he and Cassie get together and they talk about how things have changed, how saving, not killing people is the only thing that's really changed things in history. They don't know really what they're going to do next, but he says he's ready, and he hands the picture of him and her in 1944 to Cassie, walks away, and leaves her to think about it. There's a lot to unpack in this episode, and I just watched it a few minutes ago, so I haven't had really time to contemplate this, and it's late on a Thursday night, but I gotta say, I'm intrigued. Obviously, we're going to try and go back to 1944. What does this have to do with the whole thing? Why has things not changed? We still don't know much about the messengers. Ramsey says he doesn't know anything, but he's been duplicitous at best, keeping things to himself and letting it out. He seems to be a good guy at this point. Kirk Acevedo, who plays the character, is good about playing that gray area with these kinds of characters. He has done it in previous shows. Cassie spent some time in the future, and she's much more hardened now. We see her killing people, doing some martial arts and things like that. Should be interesting to see where this goes. We have a long way to go. There's 13 episodes in the second season. There were 13 in the first. There's a grand total of almost 50 episodes to the entire show. I'm looking forward to where this is going. And we'll get more into it in each episode, but I got to leave a little. We'll keep these short since we're only talking about one episode of TV. But if you haven't started watching 12 Monkeys, and for some reason you're listening to these podcasts, go watch it. I think it's streaming on Hulu. I picked up season 1 for $1. I think they still have them on Hamilton Book. You could pick up all 4 seasons for about $25 with Amazon. So, or stream it on Hulu or some other service. I highly recommend it so far. We'll see how it goes. Stay tuned for more mini reviews of episodes as we go through the final 3 seasons of 12 Monkeys. I'm Scott Hamilton. I'm ROCKFILE. My links are below. Love to hear some comments on some things. Maybe I get some things wrong. Maybe I got some things right. I'm not stepping out on too many limbs yet, but we'll get there. Have a spectacular day, and thanks for listening.